Well, hasn't it taken no time at all in the new year for the old tiresome cracks to appear within the National Party? Yesterday, we had a group of backbenchers, seemingly led by Queensland MP Matt Canavan, cranking up their push for more coal-fired power stations, not just in Queensland, but also the Hunter Valley.
We believe in supporting workers. We believe in providing more jobs for Australian workers. And well, while we've shut coal-fired power stations in the last 10 years, our manufacturing employment has fallen by hundreds of thousands. In fact, late last year, we reached a new record low of Australians employed in manufacturing at fewer than 850,000. So we've got to change tack.
And so early today, party leader Michael McCormack came out to defend the government's support of coal, but, listen closely, not necessarily new coal-fired power stations.
Well, what Australians have told me and what Australians are telling the government is that they want to pay the cheapest possible price for their power. And I've always said that the energy needs of Australia need to come from a diverse and mixed range of sources. So coal is going to be a very important part of our energy mix going forward, and that's just a fact.
And then a long list of the usual moderates in the Liberal Party came forward today to talk about the fact that renewables are the future. Renewables, no more coal. So from climate wars to the weakness of the coalition, there's nothing dull when the gnats crack. Today, an opinion piece in The Australian by another backbencher, Barnaby Joyce, turned a flame into a bushfire. He described the coalition as a marriage of political convenience, and the National Party has too few cabinet and Senate positions. Not to mention where their leader now sits in the House, no longer next to the Prime Minister.
We've been doing it the polite way, Chris. We've been doing it quietly behind closed doors and doing all the things they tell us to do and don't let it go public, but it's just not working. So this is the other alternative, and we've got to do it now. The problem needs fixing. It is in how the relationship works, and for there to be a coalition, it has to be in form, it has to be in substance, and like it was in the past, and we've got to make sure that we get back to that.
But Barnaby makes a very good point. This is not a coalition made up of Scott Morrison's Liberal Party and Josh Frydenberg's Melbourne branch of the Liberal Party, but it's Josh Frydenberg who now, during COVID, has sat next to the Prime Minister in the House of Representatives. Michael McCormack should have said, no. This is a coalition effort. Whenever Josh Frydenberg has to address Parliament, he can be dragged to the dispatch box. So it's Michael McCormack who's been ditched, farmed out over the other side of the House without saying a word. And so the man who took Barnaby's job, McCormack, was also forced to talk up the power of the coalition today.
Well, seeing as though he used the word marriage, it's actually a marriage of strength. And we work well together. As you see, Zed and I working well together for this announcement. People out in the regions are relying on us for their jobs, for their futures, for water infrastructure, for road and rail, and that's what my focus is on. They're not worried about the power struggles in Canberra. They're not worried about who might sit on a committee or what percentage of this and that is made up of the government. That hasn't even been raised with me before today.
Michael goes into a meeting, I don't know what it is, 8 o'clock, 8:30 every day with the Prime Minister, and he doesn't want the aggro, he doesn't want, he wants the hail fellow well met, and he doesn't want the aggro in Cabinet, and so other people will say the bleeding obvious, and I think I have a position to do that, being father of the National Party, longest serving member and a former leader, and I'm going to say what we've been saying privately, because we want this dealt with.
So the Nats haven't even had time to clean the barbecue after Australia Day. They're certainly not back at work in Canberra, and the fists are already flying. To me, it looks more like, at the very least, an attempt by both Matt Canavan and Barnaby Joyce to end their banishment to the backbench. They are incredibly capable, both men, and it would make sense to have them inside the tent, not outside, barking away. Or more dramatically, could they be out to convince their colleagues, again, that McCormack needs to go? Barnaby's never been known for his subtlety or diplomacy about the party, and lighting this bushfire today will only ensure his banishment continues as long as McCormack remains in place. We'll be watching this space very, very closely. As for an election, Barnaby's convinced in that article today it'll be called this year. So in just a few days, we've had several pointers to a federal election being held in the second half of 2021.